Hi, my assigned material was tolerating ambiguity. Um, so it was a TED Talk in which a professor is kind of going over tolerating ambiguity. Um, I might be mispronouncing that. It might be ambiguity. Tired. Um, Basically, how I'd summarize it is it's being uncertain can be good. It can also help you solve problems, and it's not necessarily. She says it's like a lot of people want to have a clear one answer for a problem and this is the correct answer and that's that. Um, she's kind of saying that not only is that not possible a lot of times there are multiple correct answers, but having that mindset of only having that one answer might be harmful to you as a person. Um, so she goes over like people are uncomfortable with not knowing the answer. People want one clear, concise, correct answer. She goes over. So a convergent answer would be that one right, concrete, this is it answer. And she says that a lot of modern answers that we have, especially in the educational environment, are divergent answers where there's multiple correct answers. And she says this kind of like fosters, like if you have a problem and everyone is like, all right, this is the solution, we're going to work towards this, that might hurt instead of being like, hey, everyone go think of a solution and come back and we'll meet and talk about it, because everyone will come up with a different solution and one solution might be better than the rest, and that gives like you the ability to develop an answer versus just taking the easiest path. um, she kind of talks about how like most modern companies and stuff aren't looking for like necessarily the know-how, like that you know the material. They're looking for people skills, communication skills, creativity, accountability, kind of more so these skills that you will need as a person to work with other people, more so than actually knowing what you're working on. Um, and then she was talking about a study how she did with kids through, so she just told them to come up with a dance, and she was kind of like watching them and like studying them and having them write down notes and basically just kind of explain how they feel through dance. And she said she found like there's four roles. It was facilitator or an organizer, basically the leader, and then the critic, the loner, and then the compliant follower. So basically, she said everyone served as almost all of these roles at some point. So it wasn't just like this person's this person's this. Everyone was everything. But she was saying that like so the organizer, the leader, they're the one putting their voice out there, trying to get everyone to listen, follow. The critic, the person who doesn't want to do that, it was like, hey, this looks goofy. I don't want to do that. And she said the critic was pretty vital because it gets the organizer to have reasons for that idea. If someone was like, I don't want to do this, and that makes the organizer be like, this is why we should do this, versus just being like, this is something I want to do. The loner, she also is important because she's saying some groups would accept that and will let the loner go and like be like, oh, this dance move means this to me, and that would help the group grow and accept that. Versus some groups would be like, hey, you're going off by yourself. Like, come back to the group. We don't want you to work on this by yourself. We're working on this together, and that just kind of kills that. Kind of going back to what we were saying about the one simple path versus the multiple like solutions. Like people develop solutions, that kind of just kills that. And then the compliant followers are the people who are just agreeing and going and seeing where it goes. So I kind of see that in relation to our class. Um, I feel like we have all these same roles: loners, critics, compliant followers, and facilitator. I feel like there's a couple people who are more facilitators than the rest. I don't think we really have any critics just because of the setting. Um, there's definitely loners and compliant followers. I wish, I guess she kind of going over something she says earlier too. She's like, she asks a question and is like, what is your answer? What is your answer? What is your answer? Because people are so uncertain speaking because I think it's because they're afraid to be judged. But just being comfortable with that uncertainty and still being able to speak, I feel like we really struggle with that in class. When you ask us questions, only a couple of us ever really share. Everyone else kind of just remains quiet and just trying to get through the class, I suppose. Um, but that's something I think we could work on as a class, probably in class tomorrow with this lesson. So I guess it just made me think a lot about how you don't need to have an answer for everything, and sometimes not having the answer makes you think about it deeper than you would have if you did just have the answer. If you're like, what's 5 plus 5? It's 10. I know that it's 10. That's easy. 10. Very straight shot. If you're like, what's 5 times 50 divided by 7? I'm actually going to sit here and think about that, and that's going to be something that's more thinking involved. So kind of relating that same thought process to other actual real world issues. See you in class tomorrow.